What's up, NBA fan? What's up, all sports fans? This your boy JB, host of the Behind the Bench Podcast Network channel, giving a shout out to the rest of the crew. Shy, Kelvin, KB Film Room, Big Dog Talk Sports. That's right, that's right. For everyone who's tuning in, as always, we thank you for supporting Behind the Bench. Subscribe to the channel. Help make us become the best show that we can be. Now let's talk some NBA action. It's a great time of year, man. You have, NBA action, NFL action, college football action, National Hockey League. It's a great time of the year for sports, And regarding the NBA, we're reaching the end of year 2024, and we will soon launch 2025. And this channel has been on stage for approximately 2 years now. I say that we're progressing, right on point. Like I said, it's not about quantity as much as it is quality. And we look at ourselves as the grassroots sports channel, or one of the grassroots sports channel here on YouTube. But let's talk NBA action last night as the the torch is being passed. The torch is being passed, and I'm not necessarily talking about from one player to the next. I'm talking about from one era to the next. Nefarious team building, sacrificing young talent, draft picks galore, manipulating cap space, trades around the clock, constant roster overhaul, scapegoating, coach shuffling. Those days pretty much over. And this is why, I feel so detached from what's been going on with my squad since the summer of 2018. But I do take great pleasure in seeing organizations, particularly small market teams, build their franchises through true player development, allowing young talent to grow. That's the key to this, man. It's going to be trial and error. Players have to learn, and the only way that they can reach their potential, you have to give them time. As long as they're improving, that's the key. As long as they're improving, and as long as they're competing hard, they're headed in the right direction. That's the key. And then after that, let the chips fall where they may. And then as an organization or as a front office, at that point, when you see that another step is needed to improve the team to take it to the next level, then you make that move. And it's just a continuation process rather than sacrifice anything that you will dearly miss down the road. So when you watched this game last night, you saw a team that has been building over the past 5 years, going up against a team that's in ultimate win now mode, and those two different types of approaches clashed on the court last night, and it was a tight game for the most part. It was a tight game, but eventually, this is why I trust the real teams. Eventually, they will break through, and that's what happened last night. Eventually they're going to break through, because those teams are not taking shortcuts, and those teams, because of that, they will more often than not exceed expectations. Those teams feature players who eventually adapt to the role that they will eventually find themselves best suited to embrace to help their team win. And that's what it means to become a champion. So the Lakers put up a fight, but ironically, they did so not through the two superstars, but through their own drafted players. And this is why I say your own players are always going to be the driving force behind what you're trying to do long term. Always. Always. So you see rookie Dalton Knecht, who's having a great rookie season for himself thus far. I root for him. He showed who he is. He scored like 20 points last night. Austin Reeves, he had an off night shooting, but he has overplayed. He has played beyond his value when he was brought in by the Lakers as a rookie, as an undrafted player. So what I'm saying is those players always, D'Angelo Russell, an original drafted player by the Lakers, he's asked to embrace a lesser role on the team, but, last night, he provided some punch off the bench. So what I'm trying to say is this is a perfect example of what I've been talking about. And when you're really building a team step by step, there is some nervousness. There is this feeling that, man, you know what, man, maybe we shouldn't stay the course. Maybe we should, try to go for a home run now. It's easy to think like that. It's very easy. It's hard to stick with the plan, man. But once it comes to fruition, man, at that point, you're good to go. And you're basically in cruise control at that point. This is what we pretty much saw last night. As the Oklahoma City Thunder, they found a way to break through in the fourth quarter, and they prevailed and beat the Lakers on the road by the score of 101-93, led by superstar Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He was big down the stretch. He closed that game out for Oklahoma City last night. That's what a superstar is supposed to do. And like I said, when you don't take shortcuts, I believe you have the mental edge over superstars who do take the shortcut. You see what I'm saying? So he closed that game out last night, and he got tremendous support from his teammates in key junctions of the game. Hartenstein, the center for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, that was a key free agent acquisition for Oklahoma City Thunder. That's an example of how free agency is supposed to be utilized. He comes in and grabs 18 rebounds last night. 18 rebounds. And that's huge. So, really, he out-rebounded Anthony Davis. And this is why I keep saying you don't need a super team to win no championship. This is Matt Hartenstein. Previously played for the New York Knicks and then played a brief time with the Los Angeles Clippers. And he paid dividends last night. While Oklahoma City is playing without probably their second best player in Chet Holmgren. But is it Jeff Hartenstein? Well, anyway, Hartenstein, the center, he grabbed 18 rebounds last night. And Jalen Williams, who's probably their second best scorer, he played solid for Oklahoma City last night. And it was a tug of war match last night, but Oklahoma City broke through and showed why their future is super bright. It's super bright, man. And this is all I wanted for my squad 6 years ago. Where OKC is now, we would have been around 2021. And we constantly, we have our draft picks. We constantly, draft and bringing in more reinforcements, man. It would have been nonstop, But what I'm trying to say is the Lakers are at a true crossroads. Because now they see, okay, you look at Oklahoma City, you look at the Houston Rockets. Houston Rockets in second place right now in the Western Conference. It took them about 4 years to build up after, losing James Harden and then, the 1 year Russell Westbrook played for them, and then He has to be traded. He was traded to the Washington Wizards at that time. And it took them 4 years, but boom, here they are, second place. Last year, Minnesota came through in a big way, advanced to the Western Conference Finals. The Portland Trailblazers have improved, starting the season off this year. They're like, 8-12, somewhere around there. They've improved. Dallas, they'll make a push at some point. Golden State rebounded by bolstering their bench and starting to develop, the Jonathan Kumingas of the world. The New Orleans Pelicans, they have so much talent, but the main obstacle that they can't overcome is injuries. That's what's holding their team back. Otherwise, I believe by now they could have advanced to a conference finals by now. I believe that. But what I'm trying to say is the pendulum has shifted and it's not going to change. So that's why in the playoffs last year, when the Lakers played Denver in the first round, I picked Denver because they're a team that built the right way, step by step. They got better chemistry. They have a stronger mentality. They ain't take no shortcuts. When Phoenix played Minnesota in the first round, I picked Minnesota to win for the same reason. And when Dallas played the Clippers in the first round, I picked Dallas for the same reason. And it has to be something to it. It's not by accident. For Oklahoma City Thunder, they're set up so good. 4 or 5 years ago, when they was starting all over again and was trading away their best players to acquire a bevy of first round draft picks, a lot of critics out there were mocking them and making jokes. But you notice who they making the jokes about now? It's not Oklahoma City Thunder. So, you see what I'm saying? It's not the OKC Thunder, man. And they're set. They're set. A lot of teams are set up real nice. And the like I said, the Lakers, to me, would help them get out to that strong start early in the year. Yes, they was playing through Anthony Davis, but it was their young talent. The Dalton Connects, Max Christie's, Austin Reeves, who was, solidifying, their team and the results thereof. So, like I said, man, this is the real deal, man. This is the real deal, man. And you can see it coming a mile away if you just peep game. And you can see that a real takeover was about to hit. And it's these real teams, man. And this is why the league needs to move forward. When you are a franchise like the Lakers and you're starting all over again, you have the youngest team in basketball entering the off season in 2018. You were so far ahead of the curve, they didn't see it. They didn't understand it. And instincts told me that going the other route, it was going to set this franchise back eons. And that's basically happening now because you're bringing in a 34-year-old guy who has to have a certain type of roster for him to flow. He cannot play within a team system. Any type of motion offense that requires a lot of movement, setting screens or whatnot, pin downs or whatnot, that's not his game, man. So therefore, you have to scrap everything that you was building up until that point, and eventually you have to cave into him. But it's not producing the results. And I keep stressing this point. The only reason they had that one good year in 2020 that culminated in the bubble was because they mortgaged everything away for that 1 year. You mortgaged off, essentially, you really mortgaged off your cap space. You see what I'm saying? Instead of applying that cap space to sign your own players, you manipulated the system to bring in one superstar to force you to mortgage the future away to bring in a second superstar as you was trying to get a third superstar. So the plan never really worked. And therefore, to fill the roster up starting out, you had to bring in veteran players. So when you look at that formula, it's short lived, it's short sighted, and after that 1 year, that was all she wrote. This team has not been in the top half of the playoff bracket outside of the year of the bubble. And it started off on the wrong foot in year one when that guy, the Hurricane, couldn't lead them to the playoffs. It started off on a bad foot. You see what I'm saying? And you sign them to a 4-year deal, then you keep extending them, then you extend them again, and now Father Time is kicking in. While the Sage Gilgeous Alexander's is getting better and better into this prime. Jokic is in this prime. Lakers, they have no answer for that team in Denver. They have no answer for that team in the Rocky Mountains. None. Think about it. During these 6 years, with this, now for a team that's supposed to be in win now mode, the Los Angeles Clippers beat the Lakers like 11 straight times during the regular season over a 3-year period. About 11 straight times. This was different than Lob City years when they was beating the Lakers after that Chris Paul trade was blocked. That's totally different. No, because Kobe had already led them to a back-to-back championship. They had a run. They had a legitimate run. Sacramento Kings beat this team 10 straight times over the past 2.5 seasons. This team has not been dominant at all. So, see, that's another thing. You cannot realistically talk about winning a championship and you got multiple teams throughout the regular season that you're not beating. Memphis, matter of fact, the Pelicans beat them all 3 times when they faced each other during the 21-22 season. They beat them all 3 times without Zion Williamson, who missed the whole season due to, I think, a foot injury. Memphis had a number for a minute until with the off-court situation with Ja Morant, and then they suffered injuries. So what I'm saying is, man, last year I believe Golden State beat them. Was that all 3 times? Or I think they played each other at least 3 times. I believe Golden State. They won the regular season series. You know what I'm saying? So you can't realistically sit there and say, and I'm not saying you're gonna like you gonna beat all your division opponents in every game throughout the course of the season. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, when there's multiple teams in the conference that's beating you during the regular season, you're not a championship team. So what's messing the Lakers up is being in this so-called win now mode, talk about championship every year, but you didn't take the proper steps. You shortcutted the steps to pursue a title in 2020. So the steps that you took, that you cast aside to go the shortcut route, those are the steps that you see missing on the court every year since. That's why there's so much confusion as to what's the problem. Well, the problem is you brought the one dude to the team that led you to mortgage everything off for that 1 year. But a team like OKC, I'm telling you, man, they set up so good, they're going to have about a 10-year run. They will not fall off. They will have the leverage in every trade that they want to make. They're going to have the leverage. They're going to have the leverage. So, like I said, man, I cannot, when you look at a team like OKC, Boston Celtics, they stayed the course. And Boston suffered a lot of playoff setbacks in recent memory, man. But they stayed the course and they won. They won a championship. They take no shortcuts, man. So what I'm saying, man, it pays to stay the course. It's only one team that's gonna win every year. That's why they call it the playoff. That's why they call it attrition. That's why they call it competition. You see what I'm saying? So you're better off just doing it the right way. more often than not, you're going to exceed expectations. So, like I said, OKC they're ahead of the Lakers, man. And it is not going to change this year. It's not going to change next year. It's not going to change the year after that. Because, like I said, the Hurricane, he'll be 40 by year's end. And Father Time has tapped him on his shoulder. And the other guy who mortgaged the future for, he'll be 32 years old. So he's right there. He's right there on the brink of approaching the beginning of the back end of his prime, which means probably by next year he's going to lose a step. It's all she wrote. It's all she wrote. So, like I said, man, OKC looking sharp out there, man. And remember, they finished the season last year #1 seed in the West. It's not an accident. It's not an accident. So that's why I always say, in closing, if OKC can do it, if Houston can start all over again after losing an MVP level player in James Harden, it took them about 4 years, man. Now they #2 seed. 4 years. Okay, you look at Denver. This was after the Ty Lawson years, the Kenneth Faried years, Andre Miller, those years. JaVale McGee's playing for that team doing it like the early 2010s. This was after they traded Carmelo Anthony to the Knicks. Danilo Gallinari, and then, okay, they started over again with Nikola Jokic. They had to start from the bottom and work their way back up. Took them about 6 years. So if all those teams can do that, Denver never won an NBA championship, but they broke through 2 years ago. I asked myself, if they can do that, and Sacramento Kings can build a playoff level team for the first time since 2005, took Golden State 7 games in the playoff, and it took Steph Curry the game of his life in the playoffs for Golden State to advance. I asked myself, why couldn't the Lakers? Why would people not believe that the Lakers can do the same thing when they was ahead of the curve? They was ahead of everybody. So OKC took in that blueprint from the Lakers. The difference is they're applying it, and now they sitting pretty for a long time. And they got a super young squad. They got a great combination. They got a long-standing head coach who was there. And this is another thing, and I'm finna shut it down. People say Lou Walton was a bad coach, right? Now check this out. Oklahoma City coach, I think his name is Mark Ranigault, if I'm not mistaken. If people come across this video, if I got the name wrong, leave a comment and post a comment. When he took over the job, so I think this was after OKC moved on from Billy Donovan, right? Okay. They was winning like 22, 23 games a year. The first 3 years, 22, especially after they traded Chris Paul to Phoenix. They was winning like 20-some games a year. Well, Lou Walton, for 2 straight years, OKC was like 24 games. Well, Lou Walton, when he was hired in 2 years, the Lakers improved by 20 games. So if Mark Ranigault, probably as a first-time head coach, starting off with a young squad, can lead Oklahoma City to what they're doing now, why couldn't Luke Walton do it if you just stay patient? Because they signed him to 5 years. Luke Walton was signed to a 5-year deal. And if you don't bring the Hurricane to the team, more likely than not, he would have did the full 5 years. That's what I'm saying. This is what I mean by you selling yourself short. But like I said, that bubble, it clouded a lot of thinking, reached the conclusion that, oh man, this was the right way. Oh man, he helped bring us back to the promised land. No, he didn't, because he's gonna leave this franchise deserted. No, he didn't, because everything they got that 1 year was on the back of what they let go and what they cashed it out. That's the bottom line, man. That's the bottom line. So, like I said, man, everything right on schedule. Nothing surprising me. You know, nobody cracking jokes about OKC. Them days are over, boss. It's a new sheriff in town. It's called them real squads, non-super squads of the NBA. Till next time, JB for BTB, Behind the Bench.